Hey, what's up, YouTube? I'm back again with another movie review, and this movie is called Blink Twice. So, before we get into it, I need y'all to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. But without any further ado, this is my movie review. So, Blink Twice is about a woman named Frida. She's a nail technician and a cocktail waitress. Frida doesn't have any family around, but she has a best friend named Jess, who is also her roommate. And they live in a rundown apartment and they work together as cocktail waitresses. So the movie starts off with Frida on her phone looking at a resigned billionaire tech mogul named Slater King. And he was apologizing on TV for his some type of inappropriate behavior. And he was just telling the lady, like, look, I changed my life around. I bought me a private island and I'm doing good now. And Frida was a big fan of his and she was just like really infatuated with him. Okay, so Frida and Jess, they were about to serve guests at a gala or a fundraising event that Slater was throwing. So Frida said, you know what? I'm going to take this little bit of money that I have, buy me and my girl Jess a dress, and then after our shift, we can crash the party. So after their shifts were over, they went to the party and they saw Slater. Now, Frida was so drawn to Slater that she just started walking towards him and not paying attention to anything. So while she was walking towards him, Frida bumped into the waiter and fell on the ground in front of everybody. When Slater seen this, he went to help her up, and then he started talking to her for a little bit, and he was like really intrigued by her. So then he was just like, you know what, let me introduce you to everybody. And he even introduced her to his therapist named Rich. So she was just happy, and she started joking with his therapist and was like, blink twice if I'm in danger. So Rich blinked twice or whatever. So they just, little jokey joke. After that, Frida and Jess started having a good time with Slater and his friends. And Slater told everybody, like, look, let's drop everything. We're going to go to my private island right now. Like, just come on. So they just left in their party clothes and they flew to the island. And then when they got there, Slater's sister / assistant took everybody's phone. So, it's for like privacy reasons because her brother is a billionaire. Okay, so I'm going to name the people that were on the island. Stacy, which is Slater's older sister, and his manager, Frida and Jess, a reality show star named Sarah, an app developer named Camilla, a lawyer named Heather, and the men were Slater, his college grad protege, Lucas, DJ Tom, Stan, which was his armed bodyguard, and a photographer / Slater's business partner named Vic. Vic had a missing pinky finger. There was Slater's private chef named Cody, and his therapist Rich was there, but Rich ended up leaving early. The island was beautiful. They had these big pretty flowers called hibiscus tilaceus, and they're like yellow in the morning, they turn red in the afternoon. And Slater had perfume made from these flowers. Now, the perfume was called Desideria, and there were tropical animals on the island, and everybody wore white. They would get high every day and drunk every day. They would eat the best food, drink the most expensive wine, sit by the pool, relax, and they was having so much fun. Like at night, they would just run around like children, and they didn't even know why they were running around. Everything was nice, but the only downfall was the venomous snakes on the island. So Slater had workers on his island who all had snake tattoos. But the one who stuck out to Frida was an older Mexican lady. They named her Badass Maid. And Badass would kill the snakes, harvest their venom, and then turn it into liquor. So Badass didn't speak English, but throughout the movie, she kept calling Frida Red Rabbit. And Frida didn't know why. Okay, so although everything was going good, Jess felt like something was off. Because when they got there, these people already had clothes laid out on their bed for them that actually fit them. Everybody was so happy, like hippies. And then they would wake up and clean clothes with bruises on them, but they had dirt under their nails and she couldn't remember the night before. So one night, her friend Jess got bit by one of the snakes and she was scared, but Slater assured her, like, everything gonna be all right. It's okay. I know it's venomous, but you're not gonna die. So the next morning, Frida was looking for Jess to check up on her friend, and she couldn't find her. So when she asked the other women if they seen Jess, nobody remembered seeing Frida come in with anybody. They told her, girl, you tripping right now. You came alone. So Frida went back to her cabin and was wondering, like, what's going on? I know Jess came here. So Frida was convinced that she was just going crazy. Okay, it was a knock at the door. So Sarah went to Frida and said, look, I don't remember your friend, but this lighter has your friend's name on it. So they sat down and they were just really confused, and they were trying to figure out why they're not remembering stuff at night and what's going on. But they couldn't figure it out. So they just came up with a plan. One day, Frida was snooping around trying to find Jess, and she ran into Badass Maid. And the maid called her Red Rabbit and then gave Frida something to drink. When Frida tasted, like, it was really disgusting. So she was looking at it crazy. Then she looked past Badass Maid onto the table and she seen a dead snake. And then she realized that Badass just served her some snake venom. So the next day, Frida's nose started bleeding. Then she started having visions of the men on the island SA-ing them or whatever. But she was confused because all the women seemed happy, including Slater's older sister too. So Frida told Sarah what happened. Then she gave Sarah some of the snake venom to see if Sarah would have the same visions. Later on that day, Sarah's nose started bleeding and she started having the same visions that Frida was having. So the women figured out that the perfume from the flowers made them forget, but the snake venom made them remember everything. Slater made sure everyone's food, drinks, drugs, and perfume was laced with that flower. But Badass knew the snake venom would make them remember. So that's why she gave it to Frida. Okay, so back to the plan. Instead of telling the other women what was going on, Frida and Sarah mixed the snake venom with the margaritas and got everybody drunk. So while the women were getting drunk, Frida snuck away to investigate some more to find their phones. And she found a room full of red gift bags. And inside of it was the perfume. Then she found over like 100 pictures of people who visited that island holding gift bags. So Frida snuck back to where the ladies were and showed Sarah the pictures, and they were shocked when they seen the different pictures of themselves. Then Frida realized why the Spanish lady kept calling her Red Rabbit. It's because Frida does her nails with animals on it. Like at that moment, she was wearing a green lizard, but when she was there last year, she had red rabbits on her nails. Then she had a vision of her biting off Vernon's pinky when he was assaulting her. She remembered Rich looking at Slater and was asking him, like, are you sure she won't remember any of this? And Slater said, yes, I'm sure. And then Frida remembered them killing Jess because the snake venom made Jess' memory come back, and the men didn't want her to tell the other girls what was going on. Okay, so later on that night, all the women's nose started bleeding and their memories came back. Once they realized that these men were assaulting them every night, the women just started attacking them. And during the fight, Frida seen Stacy looking crazy and she was crying. So Frida said, you remember, don't you? I'm sorry they did this to us. And Stacy looked at Frida and said, listen, the men are going to do what they want to do, and there's nothing we can do about it. So she just got real mad, and then she attacked Frida. And she was like, I didn't want to remember. And so they started fighting and Frida killed her. So the reason why Stacy didn't want to remember anything was because when she was younger, their father used to assault her and her brother Slater. And the snake venom made her remember everything. So after the battle with everybody, a fire broke out in Slater's cabin. And the only people that were alive were Sarah, Slater, and Frida. But Slater had an advantage over them and he was about to kill Sarah. And so Frida was scared and she was begging Slater like to just let Sarah live or whatever. I'm sorry, just let her live. And Slater did not care. He took a hit from his vape. He bent down and then put the knife to Sarah's neck. But before he sliced her throat, he stopped. And then he stood up and he started looking at all the bodies around him. He was like, yo, what's going on? Why is this on fire? Like, what's going on with my friends? Why is Camilla right here dead? And he was real confused. So what happened was Frida put the flower in his vape. And when he took a hit of it, it started to make him forget. So he was forgetting about what was going on. And while Slater was distracted, they knocked him out. Then they dragged him out of the burning cabin. And when they got out of the cabin, Sarah was like, are you sure you want to do this? And Frida said, yeah, I'm sure. Then the scene ends. The next scene is at a gala. Frida was sitting next to Slater, and the speaker congratulated Miss Frida King on being the new CEO of Slater's billionaire company. And Slater was sitting there looking happy, congratulating his wife along with everybody else. And just then Slater's therapist, Rich, walked up to them looking confused, but he introduced himself to Frida and saying, I'm Slater's therapist and I need to talk to him. And he was trying to make plans for him and Slater to go out of town. But Frida gave her husband his vape and told Rich that they're going to be busy that week. So I forgot what he said, but Frida was like, of course I remember you. Remember? Blink twice if you're in danger. Then she blinked twice at him and she started laughing and Rich just walked away looking scared, and then the movie ends. So this is my opinion. I like the hints and the hidden messages in the movie. There were a lot, but I'm only going to talk about a few of them. So one of the hidden messages was about his protege, Lucas. When everybody was drugged from the flower, all the men would turn into these monsters, and Lucas would just start yelling at the men or crying, and he didn't know what was going on because he was drugged too. So when Slater told Lucas everything, Lucas said, oh my God, did I ever harm one of these women? And Slater said, no, you never did anything to the women. So this was like a big relief for Lucas to know that he didn't violate any of the women. So after Slater seeing that Lucas was relieved, Slater was like, you never do anything. You didn't join us. You didn't help them. You just sat back and you watched. You're actually worse than we are. Here's another one. Stacy knew what was going on and she used the flower to forget about everything, including the way her father used to assault them. But Stacy became complacent. And when the women were getting abused, she said men are just going to do what they want to do. So when Stacy was dying, she asked Frida to, help me. And Frida said, well, bitch, I tried. And she walked out. So the message I got was, okay, yeah, you were abused. That's not your fault. Instead of choosing to fight back, you indirectly help these women get violated. And then you want somebody to feel sorry for you, in the end. It was more messages that I got. But, they also had hints that Frida met Slater before. So as a joke, Frida told Slater's therapist, Rich, blink twice if I'm in danger. And Rick blinks twice or whatever. Another one is Frida's boss gives us a hint that Frida met Slater before. Another hint is everyone went to the island on the spur of the moment. And when they got there, they already had clothes laid out on the bed that fit them perfectly. And another hidden message was before Frida took the snake venom, she asked Sarah, what are we going to tell the police when we call them? These men took us to an island that we wanted to go to, and I think they're messing with our brain. We don't even know each other, but we all get along. They're also feeding us expensive food, and we're having fun, and we're getting high every day. And I know this sounds crazy, but something is wrong. Believe us women, believe us women. And Frida doesn't remember what's going on that night, but her gut is telling her something isn't right. And truthfully, if she tried to explain it that way, people would probably say well, what's wrong? What are you complaining about? You're not locked up anywhere. You're around billionaires. The food is nice. The place is nice. You're just a poor cocktail waitress looking for a paycheck. These are men. What did you think they want from you? What did you think they really wanted from you? Or you brought this upon yourself, or that's what you get. You feel me? So that's probably what she was thinking. So it's more in the movie, but I think you should go see it. This film was wrote and directed by Zoe Kravitz during the Me Too era. She started it in 2017 and waited for the right time to release it, which was smart considering everything that's going on, because Blink Twice really gave me a P. Diddy Baby Oil Epstein Island type of vibes. And on a scale from 1 to 10, I give it a 7. And I think you should go check it out for yourself. And let me know what you think, or give me some more movie suggestions, y'all. Hit me up. I'm out.